She said if I truly loved her, I'd accept her priorities without questions. I said, understood, stopped explaining myself, and walked away calmly. Months later, she reached out when everything she took for granted quietly disappeared from her life. If you truly loved me, you'd accept my priorities without questioning them every single time. I looked at her across the coffee table, my hands wrapped around a mug that had gone cold an hour ago. Understood. She blinked, clearly expecting more. A defense, maybe. An apology. The usual back and forth we'd perfected over the past year. That's it? Rachel asked. That's all you have to say? You've made yourself clear, I said. I'm not going to argue with what you need. Her eyes narrowed slightly, searching my face for the catch. There wasn't one. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I was 29, she was 27, and we'd been together for 3 years. 3 years of what I'd thought was building something real. So you're just going to accept it? She pressed. I said I understood. I set the mug down and stood up. I should get going. Wait, what? You're leaving? You have dinner with your friends tonight, right? I don't want to make you late. The confusion on her face would have been funny if my chest didn't feel like it was caving in. I mean, yes, but we're in the middle of a conversation. Are we? I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair. Seems like you already said what you needed to say. You're being weird. I'm being clear, I corrected. You have priorities. I respect that. I'm not going to question them anymore. Rachel stood up, crossing her arms. Why does this feel like you're punishing me? I'm not punishing anyone. I'm listening. Then why are you acting so cold? I paused at her apartment door, hand on the knob. I'm not cold. I'm just not fighting anymore. There's a difference. Fighting? We're not fighting. We're having a discussion, right? And you've told me what you need. So I'm giving you space to have exactly that. I left before she could respond. The drive home was quiet. Too quiet. My phone buzzed twice before I even made it to my street. Rachel, that was dramatic. Rachel, call me when you're done being moody. I didn't respond. Not out of spite. I genuinely didn't know what to say that wouldn't restart the same cycle. The thing about our relationship that I'd only recently started to see clearly was the pattern. Rachel had priorities. Her career came first, which I respected. Her friends came second, which I understood. Her family was third, completely reasonable. Her hobbies and personal time were fourth, and honestly, good for her. I'd apparently been slotted somewhere after all of that. And every time I'd mentioned feeling like an afterthought, she'd get defensive. Tell me I was being needy. Remind me that she was building her career, that her 20s were for growth, that I should be more secure. And I believed her mostly. Worked on myself. Read books about attachment styles. Went to therapy to figure out why I needed so much validation. But tonight, something had shifted. We were supposed to have dinner together. Our first real date night in 3 weeks. I'd made reservations at the Italian place she'd been wanting to try for months. Put on the shirt she'd mentioned looked good on me. Showed up at her place with flowers. She'd answered the door in sweats. Phone pressed to her ear, mouthing sorry at me. 20 minutes later, she'd hung up and explained that her friends were going through some drama and needed her tonight instead. We can reschedule, she'd said, like it was simple. Like it was the first time. It wasn't. It was the 4th time in 6 weeks. When I'd pointed that out, calmly, I thought, she'd gotten frustrated. Told me her friends were going through real problems, and I was being selfish for making it about us. And then came the line about accepting her priorities without question. My phone rang around midnight. Rachel. I stared at it until it went to voicemail. She called again 5 minutes later. Then texted. Rachel, pick up. Rachel, why are you ignoring me? Rachel, this is childish. I turned my phone face down and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to 17 messages. Most of them were variations of confusion and frustration. A few accused me of overreacting. One asked if I was breaking up with her. I responded to that one. Me, I'm not breaking up with you. I'm giving you what you asked for. Space to prioritize however you need to. Rachel, that's not what I meant, and you know it. Me, then what did you mean? 3 dots appeared and disappeared for a full minute before her response came through. Rachel, I meant don't make me feel guilty about having a life outside of us. Me, I never wanted to make you feel guilty. But I also can't keep being the lowest priority and pretend it doesn't hurt. Rachel, so this is you breaking up with me. Me, this is me accepting what you told me. Your priorities are your priorities. I'm not going to question them anymore. Rachel, you're being impossible. I didn't respond to that. The week that followed was strange. I kept my routine. Went to work, hit the gym, Met up with friends I'd been neglecting. My buddy Chris noticed the difference immediately. You seem lighter, he said over beers on Thursday. What's going on? Just making some changes. Good changes. I thought about it. Necessary ones. Rachel texted sporadically. Never about us. Always casual stuff. Memes she thought I'd like. Questions about that show we'd been watching. Updates about her day. I responded politely, but briefly. She didn't seem to notice anything was different. Or maybe she did, and thought it was temporary. 2 weeks in, she called, and actually sounded confused. Hey, do you want to grab dinner this weekend? I have plans, I said. Oh, okay. What about Sunday? Helping my brother move. You didn't mention that. Didn't think to. You have your things, I have mine. Silence on her end. Right, she finally said. Well, text me when you're free. Sure. I didn't text. She did, though. Kept reaching out like everything was normal. And I kept responding like a friendly acquaintance. A month passed. Then 2. My life had reshaped itself without me really noticing. The gym membership I'd been wasting became a daily habit. I'd started taking a woodworking class on Tuesday nights. Reconnected with friends who'd faded into the background during the relationship. My apartment, which had always been just a place to sleep between seeing Rachel, started to feel like home. I bought real furniture. Hung up pictures. Learned to cook more than 3 dishes. Rachel's texts became more frequent, but also more confused. Rachel, you're being really distant lately. Me, just busy. Rachel, too busy for me. Me, just busy. Rachel, can we talk? Actually talk? Me, about what? Rachel, about us. Me, I thought you had a lot going on. Don't want to add to your plate. Rachel, you're mad at me. Me, I'm not mad. And I wasn't. That was the strangest part. I wasn't angry, wasn't hurt anymore. Just clear. 3 months after that conversation in her apartment, she showed up at my place unannounced. I opened the door to find her standing there with a bottle of wine and that specific smile she used when she wanted something. Hey, stranger, she said. Hey, can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked past me, and I watched her take in the changes. The new couch. The bookshelf I'd built in that woodworking class. The framed prints on the walls. Wow, you've really fixed this place up. Had some time on my hands. She set the wine down on the kitchen counter, turning to face me with her arms crossed. Okay, can we talk about what's happening? What do you mean? Don't play dumb. You've been completely checked out for months. I leaned against the counter across from her. I've been respecting your boundaries. My boundaries? I never said I wanted you to disappear. You said you wanted me to accept your priorities without questioning them. So I did. Her jaw tightened. That's not the same as ghosting me. I haven't ghosted you. I respond when you text. Barely. And you never initiate anymore. You never ask to see me. It's like you don't even care. I care, I said simply. I just stopped making myself a burden. A burden? Who said you were a burden? You did. Every time I wanted to spend time with you, and it conflicted with literally anything else in your life. Rachel's eyes flashed. That's not fair. I was dealing with a lot. I know you were. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have. But you made it clear where I ranked, and I accepted it. So this is what? Revenge. This is self-preservation. She stared at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. I don't understand what's happening right now. I stopped waiting, I said. That's all. Waiting for what? For you to have room for me in your life. The words hung in the air between us. Rachel's expression shifted through several emotions before landing on something that looked like genuine confusion. I always had room for you. No, I said quietly. You had room when it was convenient. When nothing else was going on. When your friends weren't in crisis, or work wasn't demanding, or your family didn't need you. I was the filler. The backup plan. That's not true. Rachel, we went 7 weeks without a real date. 7 weeks where every plan we made got canceled or postponed or rescheduled. And every time I mentioned it, you told me I was being clingy or insecure or not supportive enough of your ambitions. Her mouth opened, then closed. I started keeping track. I continued. Not to throw it in your face, but because I genuinely started to question if I was being unreasonable. Turns out I wasn't. In our last 6 months together, you canceled on me 23 times. I canceled on you twice, both for actual emergencies. And both times, you were upset with me for days. You kept count. I had to. You made me feel crazy for wanting basic consistency. Rachel sat down on my new couch, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. I didn't realize. Yes, you did, I interrupted gently. You knew. You just thought I'd always be there whenever you decided you had time. And I was for a long time. Until you told me to accept your priorities without question. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? She was quiet for a long moment. I was stressed, she finally said. My friends were going through stuff, and work was insane, and you were adding pressure. I asked you to keep one dinner reservation. One date in 3 weeks. That's not pressure. That's the bare minimum of a relationship. So you just gave up? No. I did what you asked. I accepted your priorities. By leaving, by stopping the chase, I corrected. By stepping back and letting you live your life without me trying to fit myself into the margins. Rachel's eyes were wet now. I didn't want you to step back. I wanted you to understand. Understand what? That I don't matter as much as everything else. I got that message loud and clear. You matter. You've always mattered. Then where was I in your life? Actually, don't answer that. I know where I was. I was the person you texted when you were bored. The one you called when you needed validation but didn't want to do any of the actual work of maintaining a relationship. That's harsh. It's honest. She wiped at her eyes. So what now? You've clearly moved on. I've moved forward. There's a difference. Have you been seeing someone else? The question surprised me. No. Then why does it feel like you have? Because I've been seeing myself, I said. Building the life I want instead of waiting for permission to exist in yours. Rachel stood up abruptly. This isn't how I thought tonight would go. What did you think would happen? I thought we'd talk. Maybe fix things. You'd tell me you missed me. I'd tell you I missed you, and we'd figure it out. Do you miss me? She hesitated just long enough for the answer to be clear. I miss having you around, she admitted. I miss knowing you were there. That's not the same thing. What do you want me to say? Nothing. You've already said everything that matters. She grabbed her purse, movements jerky and frustrated. You know what? Fine. If you want to throw away 3 years over some petty scorekeeping, that's on you. It's not petty to want to be valued. I did value you, when it was convenient. She stopped at the door, hand on the knob, looking back at me with something close to desperation. I came here to fix this. You came here because you finally noticed I wasn't waiting anymore. That's not the same as wanting to fix anything. That's just wanting things to go back to how they were. And what's wrong with how we were? Everything, I said simply. For me, at least. Maybe it worked for you. Rachel left without another word. The door closing behind her sounded final. I poured myself a glass of the wine she'd brought and sat on my couch. My phone buzzed an hour later. Rachel, I'm sorry. For all of it. You deserve better. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Me, thank you. I hope you find what you're looking for. Rachel, I think I already had it and didn't realize until it was gone. Me, that's the thing about taking people for granted. You don't notice what they do until they stop doing it. Rachel, can we try again? I'll do better. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. A month ago, maybe even a week ago, I might have said yes. But something had shifted. Me, I don't think that's a good idea. Rachel, why not? Me, because you don't miss me. You miss what I did for you. There's a difference. Rachel, that's not true. Me, isn't it? When's the last time you asked me about my day? My work? My life? When's the last time you showed up for me the way I showed up for you? The 3 dots appeared and disappeared multiple times. Rachel, I can change. Me, maybe you can. But I don't want to wait around to find out. I've spent enough time waiting. Rachel, so that's it? We're done? Me, we've been done. I think we both just needed time to realize it. She didn't respond after that. I finished the wine and went to bed feeling lighter than I had in months. The next few weeks, I caught myself reaching for my phone to text her about random things. A funny sign I saw. A reference to an inside joke. A song she would have liked. But I didn't. Each time I resisted, it got easier. Chris noticed the change. You seem good, man. Really good. I feel good. The Rachel thing is really over? Yeah. You okay with that? I thought about it. More than okay. I think I've been okay with it since that night she told me to accept her priorities. I just needed time to act on it. What changed? I stopped confusing loyalty with self-abandonment. Chris raised his beer. I'll drink to that. For months after Rachel showed up at my apartment, I ran into her at a coffee shop. She was with a guy I didn't recognize, laughing at something on his phone. She looked happy. When she saw me, her smile faltered for just a second before she waved. I waved back and got my coffee to go. Outside, she caught up with me. Hey. That was awkward. Didn't have to be. She glanced back at the coffee shop. He's just a friend. You don't owe me an explanation. I know. I just wanted you to know. I nodded. You look good, she said. Thanks. So do you. I've been thinking about what you said. About taking people for granted. Yeah. You were right. I did that. Not just with you, but with a lot of things. That's good that you recognize it. I'm working on it. Being more present. More intentional. That's good, Rachel. Really. She shifted her weight, and I recognized the look. She had more to say. I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not just for that night, but for all the nights before it. All the times I made you feel like you didn't matter. I appreciate that. Do you ever think about us? About what we could have been if I'd done things differently? Sometimes, I admit it. But I don't regret how things turned out. No. I think we both needed to learn some things. I needed to learn to value myself enough to walk away from something that wasn't working. And maybe you needed to learn that people aren't obligated to wait forever. She smiled sadly. When did you get so wise? I had a lot of time to think. For what it's worth, I think you're going to make someone really happy someday. I'm already making someone happy. Her eyebrows rose. You're seeing someone? Yeah, me. I'm making myself happy. Turns out that's the most important relationship I could have been working on all along. Rachel laughed, but it was genuine. I deserve that. It wasn't a dig. It's just the truth. She looked at me for a long moment. I really did love you, you know. I know. I loved you too. But love isn't enough when it's one-sided effort. No, she agreed. I guess it's not. Her friend appeared in the doorway of the coffee shop, holding 2 cups. That's my cue, she said. Take care of yourself, Rachel. You too. I watched her walk back to the coffee shop, back to her friend, back to her life. And I felt nothing but peace. My phone buzzed that night. Rachel, thank you for being honest with me, even when it hurt. Especially when it hurt. Me, thank you for finally hearing it. Rachel, do you think we could be friends? Eventually? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Me, maybe someday. But I think we both need more time and distance first. Rachel, fair enough. For what it's worth, I hope you find someone who shows up for you the way you showed up for me. Me, I'm not looking. But if it happens, it happens. Rachel, you really are different now. Me, I really am. And I was. The guy who would have bent over backward for scraps of attention was gone. The guy who would have accepted being an afterthought just to keep the peace had disappeared. In his place was someone who knew his worth. Someone who understood that loving someone shouldn't mean losing yourself. Someone who'd learned that walking away from the wrong thing was sometimes the bravest thing you could do. 6 months later, I was at my woodworking class when a woman asked if the spot next to me was taken. Her name was Isabella. She had paint stains on her jeans and kept making jokes about her lack of hand-eye coordination. We grabbed coffee after class, then dinner the next week, then a weekend hike. I didn't overthink it, didn't try to force it, just let it unfold naturally. On our 5th date, she asked me about my last relationship. I told her the truth. All of it. Wow, she said when I finished. That must have been hard. It was. But it taught me a lot. Like what? Like what I won't accept anymore. Like what I need. Like the difference between being patient and being a doormat. She nodded slowly. I appreciate the honesty. I'm not trying to scare you off. You're not. I actually really respect it. Too many people carry that stuff around without dealing with it. Then they dump it all over the next person. Yeah, well, I did enough therapy to make sure I wasn't doing that. Isabella smiled. Good. Because I like you. And I'd like to keep seeing where this goes. Yeah. If you're interested. I am. Good. She reached across the table and took my hand. It felt easy. Natural. Like it should. A year later, I ran into Rachel one more time. I was with Isabella at a farmer's market. Rachel was alone, browsing produce. When our eyes met, she smiled. A real one. Hi. Rachel, this is Isabella. Isabella, this is Rachel. They shook hands, both gracious. It's nice to meet you, Isabella said. You too. There was a beat of silence that could have been awkward. Instead, Rachel looked at me and said, You look happy. I am. Good. You deserve it. So do you. I'm getting there, she said. Learning to show up for myself the way I should have shown up for the people I cared about. That's good. Yeah. She glanced at Isabella, then back to me. Take care of him. He's one of the good ones. I know, Isabella said simply. Rachel walked away, and I felt Isabella squeeze my hand. That was surprisingly not terrible, she said. Yeah. You okay? More than okay. And I was. Because I'd learned the most important lesson of all. You can't force someone to prioritize you. You can't convince someone to value your presence. You can't make someone choose you. All you can do is choose yourself. And when you do, everything else falls into place. The right people show up. The wrong ones fade away. And you realize that you were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. I'd spent so long trying to be enough for Rachel. Trying to earn a spot higher on her priority list. trying to prove I was worth her time. But the whole time, I'd forgotten the most important thing. I was already enough. I just needed to believe it. And once I did, everything changed. Not because the world shifted, but because I stopped settling for less than I deserved. I stopped waiting for someone to choose me, and I started choosing myself. Every single day. That was the real ending. Not the conversation where Rachel realized what she'd lost. Not the moment she admitted she'd taken me for granted. Not even the apology. The real ending was the day I looked in the mirror and recognized the person staring back. Someone who'd learned that self-respect wasn't selfish. That boundaries weren't punishment. That walking away wasn't giving up. It was growing up. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is let go of someone who isn't holding on. Rachel taught me that. Not through her words, but through her actions. And for that, I'll always be grateful. Because she forced me to learn a lesson I might have avoided for years. That I was worth showing up for. That I deserved consistency. That I didn't need to shrink myself to fit into someone else's life. I could build my own. And I did. Piece by piece. Day by day. Until one morning, I woke up and realized I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving. And the person who'd once made me feel invisible had become just a chapter in my story. Not the ending. Just a lesson. One I'd carry forward. But never back.